here. Welcome to day 11 of the 12 Days of Laney. I literally might cry thinking about the fact that I'm almost done these 12 days. They've literally been the most amazing thing ever. I've had so much fun filming almost every single day, and I'm gonna feel so bored when this is over, but it's okay. I'm really excited because in today's video we're going to be doing my first ever Q&A on my channel. So I put a questions tab up on my Instagram story, and a bunch of you wrote in some questions, and there were so many responses, but I was gonna narrow it down to my top 10, but then found 2 extras that I just had to sneak in there. So it's going to be the top 12 questions I received that I liked and I thought you guys would like to hear about most. And yeah, if you have any other extra questions after this video that you guys want to ask me, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. And yeah, let's get started. Okay, so the first question is actually from twirler_Lise and Ava.TrixieXOXO. Both of you guys asked the same question, which was how to get faster or tighter illusions. Now this is a little bit of a hard one because there's so many things that go into illusions, but the main tip I'm going to give you guys is actually to try to swing through on your illusions and not touch the ground in between. Oftentimes we find ourselves wanting to do a little like hitch step or a rock step in between illusion and illusion. If we eliminate that step altogether, we'll be a little bit quicker moving around and have a little bit more time to spot our baton as well. The other thing that helps improve your illusions is your arms. At first when we're using them, we can kind of push them through the air so that they make us move a little bit faster. Now the more we do illusions, we want to eventually eliminate the use of our arms because it's a little bit distracting, but if you're first time trying double illusions or triple illusions, using your arms is really going to help you move faster and give you more time to spot the baton, really. Question number 2 is actually from Chinelli93. And you asked me tips for getting into coaching twirling. Mainly just start out with a few students. You don't want to overwhelm yourself with too many right when you're first learning how to coach and teach. It's definitely different than competing as an individual. Teaching others, you have to have a lot more patience and you have to understand the breakdown of skills a lot better, which improves your twirling personally. I know firsthand from coaching now and still competing. Coaching has definitely made me a better performer and twirler overall, so highly recommend. But big tips for getting into coaching would have to be go back to the basics and review them. We often forget to think about the little things once we get past a certain point. Things like a thumb toss, thumb roll, hand roll, those little things are second nature to us, so we don't really have to think about the breakdown too much. But when teaching new twirlers, you're really going to have to understand the step-by-step breakdown so that you can communicate it with them the best way possible so that they can grasp the concepts and understand what you're trying to teach them. Ailey_XOXO asked me, how long have you been twirling? This is actually a really cool question because I'm a generational baton twirler. So that means both my mom and my grandmother twirled baton. So I guess it's just kind of been in my blood. But I got my start in twirling back when I was just 2 years old. My mom had started coaching again with some friends, and she ended up taking me to the gym with her more often than not. And before we knew it, I was picking up batons, trying to learn choreography, learning the basics with a bunch of the other kids, and I was just 2 years old at the time, and before we knew it, I had memorized the entire primary or tiny tot routine, and they threw me on and I learned how to basic march and had my first competition a week before I turned 3 years old. So I've been twirling for almost 16 years because I'm getting ready to turn 18 in January. But yeah, basically, literally my entire life. Jenna R. Hewittman asked me tips for people who don't have a lot of time to practice. Now, I personally struggle with this a lot. Unless I have a mandatory practice with my team, I try as much as I can to practice my individuals outside, but being the busy young lady that I am, it has proven to be quite the challenge. The thing that helps me most with making sure that I have time to practice is scheduling out blocks for specific things, not only twirling related, but everything. I am a member of a couple of groups at my college. I am a full-time student in college. I teach almost every single night of the week at a bunch of different dance studios in my local area, and I'm also still competing competitively in baton twirling. So trying to juggle all of those things at one time can be quite the challenge, but by scheduling out my day, it really allows me to plan out when I'm gonna have time to study and do my homework, when I'm gonna have time to relax and read a little for fun. It schedules when I'm gonna have time to practice. So I just kind of plan out my day, which makes me seem a little lame, but if I plan out my day, I know I'll have time to get everything I need to do done. So highly recommend a nice planner. I often get Lily Pulitzer ones, but somebody recently recommended a personalized one by Lauren Conrad, so I'm hoping to try that as we enter the new year. But yeah, planning out the day definitely helps. Durant.Taylor asked me, how did I decide my music and song choice for my rhythmic twirl? Now, this was really hard because I am such a perfectionist. I didn't want to settle for just any song that was out there. I really wanted to make sure that it was the perfect song. I wanted to make sure it had a softness to it that had elegance behind it, but I also wanted there to be powerful moments within the music. And I also wanted there to be a intense storyline for me to convey throughout my twirling. And Never Enough happened to be the perfect song. So after months and months of searching for the perfect song, we ended up choosing Never Enough. But before we ended up getting to Never Enough, we went through a couple other trials and ended up changing my freestyle a couple of times. So I ended up changing my freestyle a couple of times, but ending up with Never Enough was the perfect song choice, and I absolutely fell in love with it. Libby.Jean asks, what do judges look for when you move up into the advanced category? Now, this is a little bit of a challenging question for me to answer because I, for one, am not a judge, and I don't know what they are taught to look for. Now, I know that there's a bunch of different things that change when jumping from intermediate to advanced, and I'm gonna talk to you guys a little bit about what I think changes the most within a solo routine, and specifically. I personally feel that your roles, for one, have to jump up a whole nother level. They go from just the basic roles such as fujimis or fishtails or elbow rolls or ladders and those kind of things to more intricate things where we're trying to combine two of those rolls together and do them seamlessly without any breaks in between. We also want to add in closed rolls and open rolls, which can be quite the challenge, trust me, but rolls are a huge step up from intermediate to advanced. So if you're a new twirler to the advanced category, I suggest working on some new and unique rolls. Another thing that really has to improve when you're jumping from intermediate to advanced is your speed of twirling. I personally feel that when I watch a intermediate group compete, I definitely feel like they're twirling at a very appropriate rate of speed, but when you jump to advanced, everything changes a little bit. So we then have to go into like turbo mode where we're going almost excessively fast. But if you practice like that now, by the time we get to nationals and the more important competitions, trust me, twirling fast will be much easier and more natural to you. So make sure you're working to improve your rolls and increase your speed throughout your solo. Anna.Braley asks, what's the biggest challenge I have ever faced in baton? Now, this is a hard question because I try super hard to be a positive person, so any challenge I ever face, I think of as a growing or learning process. But I definitely feel that dealing with injuries has been a challenge of mine. I have an extremely high pain tolerance, so something could be hurting me and I wouldn't necessarily notice because the level of pain that I would be feeling wouldn't necessarily be what the average person would feel. So I could be on a broken foot and not even know it and continue twirling, and it would just be bothering me a little bit, but little did I know it was broken. I've actually gone through that experience exactly back in 2012, preparing for the MBTA, well, the WF MBTA World Championships in Switzerland. I discovered that because of growing at such a rapid rate, I had a cracked sesamoid bone in my left foot and a hairline fracture in the other foot. So little did I know, I had been twirling on these broken feet since nationals, since before nationals. So all throughout the summer training, all through MBTA and USTA nationals, I was on 2 broken feet while competing. And yeah, they were a little bit sore and they bothered me, and I would be like, Mom, can you just give me a bag of ice? My foot's a little achy right now. Like, it wasn't anything that made me like cry or debilitating, it just was a little uncomfortable. So I thought nothing of it, but pushing through that injury was really hard because being in a walking boot and a cast, I literally was debilitated. I couldn't do any type of twirling except for rolls, really. But then I couldn't put weight on my one foot because it was in the cast. So I would like prop a knee on a chair and do rolls, well, like half standing, half sitting, and I tried as hard as I could to twirl through it, but it was quite the challenge. But that was definitely one of the bigger challenges I've had to face throughout my twirling career, pushing through injuries and understanding that you need to stop in order to heal correctly. And me and my 11-year-old self at the time wanted nothing more than to just twirl, twirl, twirl. So I wanted to get those boots, the boot and cast off as fast as I could so that I could get back to training and preparing for Worlds. But I really needed to grasp and understand that taking it slow was really important because I didn't want to re-injure my feet and cause me to sit out for even longer of the season. So it was hard, but I took the time to recover and then slowly got back into training and was ready by the time I went to Worlds, which was amazing, but definitely one of the bigger challenges I've faced. Keep It Positive 143 asks me, would you be willing to do a international clinic? Now, I am 110% willing to do this. I absolutely love to teach twirling. I'm almost equally as passionate about that as I am competing and performing still. I absolutely love when a kid or a student achieves a new skill. It's a amazing feeling, really, to know that you helped them achieve something. So if the opportunity ever arises that I get to travel internationally to teach a clinic or teach lessons or anything of that matter, I would absolutely love to do it. It would be a dream come true for sure. Kinsey RF30 asks, tips for toss laybacks. Now, toss laybacks are a really hard skill to grasp because you have to completely take away your sight of the baton. So you think like, oh, well, we don't get to necessarily look at the baton when we're doing spins. But you do, because you're spotting the baton in between every single spin that you do. So without even realizing it, you know where that baton is because you're looking at it, even if it's for half a second. And same thing with illusions. In between each illusion, we get to look up at the baton to judge where it's placed. Now, when we're doing this toss layback, once we toss that baton, it's a guessing game because we look away and we don't look back at the baton until it's time to catch it, which is crazy. But it can be really beneficial if you just think about tossing your baton as high as you can when you're first practicing this skill. So you toss it extra high so that you have more time to find the baton after your layback. Now, because your baton's twice as high, you really want to focus on getting your head as far back as you can in your layback. Laybacks, the line is not complete when you're tucking your head up trying to see the baton while doing the skill. So you want to make sure, even if you drop it for a long time at first while practicing it, you want to make sure your head is going all the way back in that skill. _period Kenzie1 asks me, how many local comps am I coming to this year? Now, that's a really good question, but my schedule is so crazy that I can't give like an exact number or anything. If you want to ask me about a specific contest, feel free to DM me or ask me in the comments below. But I'm going to try as hard as I can to come to as many as possible. Judith Ramos 25 asks me, how did you feel entering the floor at Worlds? Now, most people are probably expecting the answer, so nervous, I was terrified that I was going to mess up in my routine, but that's honestly not how I felt at all, which is so crazy. But I knew by that point in time, I had drilled that routine so much and done everything in it probably about 5 million times, that I knew I could trust my training by that point. There was no point in getting nervous, because when you get nervous, you're only going to mess it up even more. So I really was relaxed and trusted my training by the time I took the floor at the World Championships. It also helps that my coach, Dale White, is super relaxed in that situation as well. I know some coaches get nervous for their students, but Dale is very similar to me. I think I get that from him, the whole trust your training thing. I think he knew that I was ready to take the floor and do what I needed to do, and I think he just trusted me, which was really comforting, because since he knew I could do it, I felt twice as much as like calm taking the floor knowing that I could do it. So that was incredible, and I mean, it was honestly a really peaceful process to take the floor there. Like the whole warm-up process and like the moments before taking the floor was really calm and relaxing. Nothing really stressful happened, and honestly I was just excited to have made it that far. Coming from a drop in compulsories and 6th place from compulsories, being in 1st place going into finals was more than I could have ever dreamed of, coming from a drop in compulsories. So I mean, I was just so happy with how I had done so far. Honestly, I couldn't have asked for anything more, really. The calmness before taking the floor and the support I was receiving from the crowd was incredible and made it a lot easier, really. Caitlin__X asks me, how did it feel when you won the gold at Worlds? Well, this is a hard question, because the only word I can really use to describe this was happy. I was so happy, so excited. I can't even, like, there's no word in the English dictionary large enough to describe how that moment felt when I was standing on the podium hearing our national anthem play. Looking up into the crowd, I could see how proud everybody was in the audience, and that just made my heart swell. I was so honored, so happy. I couldn't have asked for anything more. And that was actually question number 12 of my Q&A. And if you have any additional questions, like I said in the beginning of this video, leave them down in the comments and I will be sure to answer them. And if you think I should do a second Q&A in the future, let me know in the comments down below, or you can DM me on Instagram, anything like that. But yeah, if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and hit that big red subscribe button down below. And if you want to get notified every time I post a video, hit the little bell notification next to the subscribe button. To follow my journey on all of my social media accounts, my Instagram and my Twitter are both Laney Puhala. My Facebook is @PuhalaLaney, and my website is www.laneypuhala.com. And yeah, stay tuned for tomorrow's video because I have a super duper big announcement to make that I think you're all going to love. So be sure to check it out when it goes live. Bye!